route in college. Jimmy went the wrestling route in college. We're both junior college All-Americans, and we just felt like there was a need for other programs to get some spotlight and get some shine other than your Power Four, and even more specifically within the Power Four, those programs, Flow Wrestling, Flow Track, some of those outlets. And so we've met a lot of great coaches, a lot of great programs, across JUCO, NAI, Division II, Division III. We do get some Division I coaches, and we've had some NCWA coaches on as well, and we know that they're doing great things over there. Nick Costco was a former guest of ours. He talked about his experience when he was at Rutgers. I know you sat down with him and talked. We did a little research, dove into that episode. And so, yeah, we know you got some cool things going on. We're excited for Texas wrestling. Jimmy and I have moved around the country a bunch of different times at different places. I've been talking about Texas for a long time. And so selfishly, we like to get Texas people on here so I can maybe sway him a little bit to maybe consider Texas. So
Oh,
we want to
beautiful.
learn about you, learn about the program, learn about the school, and put the word out, because our goal as being Jersey guys is we want to get a Jersey kid to every one of the schools that we have on the coaches. And we know that Jersey does some great things in wrestling, so maybe they might be able to help you out a little bit. And as the program's getting up and running and doing great things, maybe we'll get some Garden State kids down there in Texas for you.
No, absolutely. I've tried a few times. Unfortunately, I lose them, to teams like Rutgers and Princeton, and I think most recently UVA. Those
Okay.
are the three schools I've lost New Jersey kids to. But when we cross that finish line and we're official, yeah, I'm gonna be heavy on New Jersey without a doubt.
Well, we're gonna get you broken through there and see what we could do. We know a lot of
I
kids don't
appreciate it.
necessarily like to leave their bubbles or get too far from their bubbles. But as I said, Jimmy and we're from Jersey. We lived in California. We lived in Colorado. He's in Florida. I'm in South Carolina.
Nice.
And so we know that there's a great big world out there, and there's a lot of cool places, and you should go check out, broaden your worldview. You can always go back to your bubble at some point, but
Big time.
get out and go see the world a little bit.
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, howdy and aloha. We are here, you are there, and you are now rocking with the best. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Airey Bros Radio. Tonight, we're stepping back on the mat, we're lacing up the boots, and we're going belly to belly with Coach Grant Leeth, head wrestling coach at Tarleton State. And he is a part of the Texas Collegiate Wrestling Foundation. But before we get rolling, you all know the drill. Hammer that like button and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a comment. Every view, review, and share helps us grow and get back to the sport we love. Follow us on Instagram at Airey Bros Radio. Tap in on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. As always, this episode is fueled by Black Sheep Endurance for all your ultra marathon and nutrition coaching needs. This is a value for value show, folks. So if you're getting any value out of anything we're doing over here and you do feel so inclined, please give us a little value back. Click on that link, buy Jimmy and I a coffee. At Airey Bros Radio, we're here to shine a light on the programs, coaches, and opportunities we wish we had access to growing up. If you're an athlete, parent, or coach looking for real development, real culture, and real opportunity, you're in the right place. As I mentioned, Coach Grant Leeth is joining us tonight, all the way from Texas. Last season, Coach Leeth led Tarleton through an incredible run at the 2025 NCAA National Championships, with the women capturing a national title and the men finishing third overall, tying for the most individual champions in the tournament. That was year one of competition and a huge statement about where the program is headed. Before Tarleton, Coach Leaf served as assistant coach with our friend Rob Cole from 2021 to 2024, helping produce multiple All-Americans Conference champions and top recruiting classes. As an athlete, he was a Missouri All-American, conference champ, ranked as high as third nationally, and placed sixth at the NCAA Championship. Now he's leading one of the boldest builds in college wrestling, laying the groundwork for what could become the first NCAA Division I wrestling program in Texas history. Without further ado, it is an honor and pleasure to have you joining us this evening. We do greatly appreciate your time. Coach Leeth, welcome to the show.
No, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
We're,
Happy to be here.
we're stoked to
You,
have you on.
have you
What's
guys
that?
had Rob on?
We've had him on 3 times.
Oh, fantastic.
We were lucky enough to get him at all 3 stops. We got him when he was still
Yeah.
at Cornell, and then he came on to talk about the Stanford position. And then when he went home,
That's
so to
awesome.
speak, made the hero's journey, we
Yeah.
got him on to talk about Carolina Blue. So
Oh, that's great.
he's uh He's a great guy, and he was one of the
Yep.
first Division I coaches that took a chance on our little show back here when we were still maybe diving into some conspiracy theories and not really focused completely on college athletics and recruiting. So we really do appreciate him.
Both of those things fit the bill with Rob for sure. Yeah. Yes.
Coach, before we get too far along into it, anything you would like to plug or promote anywhere we can send those Jersey recruits, any other kids out there that want to learn more about Tarleton State, what you got going on? The floor
Oh,
is
big
yours.
time. Big time. As far as recruiting and learning more about our program, tsuwrestling.org is where we hold our schedule, our recruiting questionnaire, news updates, our newsletter that comes out bi-weekly most of the time, depends how on top of it I am, to be honest with you. Um, I have something else to plug. It's not as wrestling related, so I don't know if you want me to save that or not.
Is it about your
You,
cool shoes?
It is.
Let's go.
You want me to do that now?
Yeah, go for
yeah.
it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Well,
So, this actually started before the Tarleton thing started, and I'll do a short version of it because I'm sure wrestling is the primary topic of today. But I actually built this with one of my wrestlers at Stanford and our sports medicine doctor, Doug Hugendijk, he's a ankle, knee, and hip specialist in the Bay Area. He worked with a lot of our athletes. And basically, here's our box. We created a health conscious dress shoe. Oh, here, I'm gonna have to turn off my background. Sorry. Might take me a second. Mm. Oh man, my bad. I thought the box would
You're
show
good.
up. There we go. Um, this is us, High Lung Technology Footwear. This is our box. Um, again, it's a health conscious dress shoe focused on recovery, active recovery for professionals. So individuals that like to go to work out in the morning, and then have a professional job throughout the day. We have a quilted padded interior, which most dress shoes don't. We have a modulated insole that focuses on pressure points, but also has copper threading through the interior. So it regulates temperature and blood flow promotion. It's kind of what it looks like. It's 100% full grain Napa leather. And then we have a TTE outsole, which is the same outsole that Hoka running shoes use,
mhm.
um, which was part of the inspiration for the brand. Working in Stanford and Silicon Valley, I saw all these tech guys in nice suits and dress shirts, and then they'd be wearing running shoes. And so we felt like we needed to fill the gap. We created a running shoe that was disguised as a dress shoe that you could wear with a suit, wear with a button shirt and tie, still look professional, but feel like you're in that typical running shoe. So
Coach,
that's
I got a pitch for you here. Now that you just did your pitch, back in the day,
yeah.
Rockport used to. I mean, they still probably do make dress shoes, but there was an ad back in the day about a guy. They were so comfortable that a guy ran a marathon in them.
Oh yeah.
So if you ever need someone to run a marathon in your pair of shoes, I've run several marathons. I've run the Leadville 100
Oh,
three
I would
times.
love to.
So maybe we could do like a little promotion about the comfort of the shoe and the ability to run 26.2 miles. If you want to go down that route, I'm your guy.
And go to work. Absolutely. I'll be on. I ran a 5K in them,
Okay.
All right.
and you wouldn't know the difference. I'm
Nice.
telling you. You give me your size and everything afterwards. I'll send you a pair,
Okay.
and we'll make that happen. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Heck yeah. Let's go.
Here you go, Rich.
Yeah, I saw the slip-ons too. Did you put those up and they sold out already?
No, so those are a prototype for our
Okay.
next silhouette. I'll be honest, we're self-funded. I have not diluted any equity, haven't taken on any debt. Um, we want to grow low and slow
Yep.
and keep it that way. So right now we're limited sizes, limited SKUs, and then as people start to learn about the brand, wear the brand. We'll crank it up from that point. But yeah, right now it's very low and slow.
Okay. Well, I like it too because I'm tired of seeing coaches wear suits with their Nike Dunks on or
Exactly. And I get it. Dress shoes are so uncomfortable, but
sure.
we have the solution.
I love it. Well, Coach, we did give you a little bit of through line with Coach Cole being a guest of ours, so we had that out of the way. But yeah, we
Yep.
love to kick things off. You mentioned before we logged on that you grew up in Missouri. We
Yep.
all have our origin stories to the sports. What was your origin story to the sport? Was there some family members that were wrestling? How did you get involved with wrestling?
Crazy chance. I grew up in a tiny town called Plattsburgh, Missouri. My graduating class was about 48 students. And in my kindergarten class, they passed out little flyers to join the local wrestling club. Mind you, there was probably 10 kids total in that local wrestling club. Um, and being a 5, 6 year old kid, I heard wrestling and immediately think WWE and was like, I want to do that. That sounds exciting. Took it home to my parents. My dad was not happy about it. My dad's 6'3". He was a football player, track athlete, basketball player. Wrestling was not on his bingo card. Um, thank God my mom pressured him into taking me to my first practice. So I guess, and I'm gonna tell this from what I've heard from my dad. I was 6 years old. I can't reflect on it too well, but from my dad's perspective, our very first practice, I guess I was doing pretty well. And our coach at the time, his name was Ray Farwell, approached my dad and asked him how long I'd been wrestling. And my dad obviously answered, well, this is our first day. And that coach turned to him and told him, well, he's got a natural ability at this. You're going to be doing this for a very long time. I'm 6 years old. I don't know any better. Don't care. My dad took that to heart. And so he was very anti-wrestling going into that practice. From that moment on, I couldn't quit wrestling if I tried. And I did try a few times. Did not have that option anymore. So,
That's awesome. We love the origin stories. We had a coach on last week. Um, he didn't have a choice. His dad
yep.
said you're going to wrestling, and then
Oh, nice.
he got thumped, and he said, "Well, your two options are you can continue just to go to the tournaments and get thumped, or you can start going to practice and you can get better at it and do better at the tournaments."
Yeah.
So,
That's at that age, it's so maturity based and just falling the right way. I guess
yeah,
that practice, I was falling the right way. And
yeah.
yeah, I lost the choice at that moment for sure.
So, where in your wrestling path did coaching come on your radar?
Did coaching?
Yeah,
That'd be college for
yeah.
sure. My freshman year, I went to Duke, had a knee surgery, so I was out most of the season. I only got to compete a couple times, and that was when my neck issues really started to ramp up. I decided to transfer. So I redshirted that year. I decided to transfer back home to University of Missouri. Um, and the next 2 years was out with surgery again. I had a knee surgery and then a neck surgery that kept me out for 7 months and 9 months, respectively. Um, and so at that point, I'd been in college 3 years and I'd only competed twice. Um, so during that time, I spent a ton of time focusing on my teammates, coaching, staying involved in practice by coaching, helping with technique, things like that. And honestly, at that point too, watching Coach Smith, Joe Johnston, Alex Clemson do what they do every day and love it. I kind of took on almost a grad assistant role, even though I was still on the team and training and trying to compete. But at that point, I realized, yeah, this is what I want to do. I really love this.
Coach, you mentioned those injuries. Was
Yeah.
that something that ended your wrestling career, was the injuries, or did you run out of eligibility?
Unfortunately, it did end up ending my career. So I had knee surgery going into college. Got on the mat a couple times, but didn't wrestle much that season. Transferred, had neck surgery, was out 9 months. Came back, had knee surgery, was out 7 months, and then came back and competed. That was the year I was ranked third going into the national tournament, ended up finishing sixth. Technically was a freshman eligibility wise. I got two medical red shirts plus my regular red shirt. So I had 3 years left. And that was the last time I really got to compete. I tried coming back. The very next year, I was ranked second or third in the country, depending on the rankings. Was undefeated and tore my labrum and rotator cuff. Was out for the season, 6 month recovery. Came back the next year. We had COVID, so missed that season, and then came back one more time trying to finish out, and had to have a second neck surgery. And unfortunately, that was all she wrote.
Did that leave any bitter taste in your mouth?
Oh, big time. I'll be honest with you. And from a coaching perspective, it's been so great, but I lived it right. I didn't do the partying. I didn't drink. I didn't do any of those things. I did the extra training. I did more than what was asked. Um, and to have opportunities taken from you for things out of your control absolutely left a bitter taste in my mouth. And so that last year when I ultimately decided I needed to retire and walk away, I left wrestling. I took a job in Florida, was working as a district manager in Tampa Bay, and thought I was done with the sport, but that didn't last very long.
How does that mold you as a coach, those experiences of being injured, not getting to get your goals because you were injured? How does that help you in your coaching process?
There's a lot of things I learned through it. One is there's always a way to get better. Even if you're injured and out, there's film to study, there's weights you can lift, there's things you can do mentally. Um, and I credit all those little things to why I was able to come back 3 years later and still compete pretty well. Um, I also learned the hard lesson that you're never guaranteed anything. You could do everything right, you can make every sacrifice, you can want it as bad as anybody in the country, still not guaranteed anything. So never expect it. Um, and then lastly, just the passion and love for the sport that came from those times I was out. I know when you're in it, it can get so difficult and hard. Um, when you're out of it, all you want to do is be back. And so I try to approach it from that aspect as a coach, because I know I'm putting these guys through the grind. I know the season's really tough. Wrestling is so tough in general, the weight cut, the training. And so I try to make them feel the way I felt when I was out, that they always just want an opportunity, want a chance to be on the mat. And they're so grateful and thankful to be there.
Coach, being having the injuries that you've had, has that, as a head coach, have you kind of tweaked knowing that wrestling is such a grind and that, a lot of times maybe it's not even in a match where sometimes these injuries happen, sometimes it's in practice. Has that changed your approach to training and the methodologies that you use?
Big time. And this is a tough one to approach because I am so grateful for Tiger Style. I love Tiger Style. I think the world of Coach Smith, and I think it is so good for most people. I think where Tiger Style starts to get a little dangerous is guys that are so intrinsically motivated. Um, they give us this crazy workload where you're basically training yourself into the ground. And then we have a pillar of our Tiger Style is one more. And it's you do something extra every workout you have. And when you get a guy that's super intrinsically motivated, that does everything you ask of them, and then on top of that is doing extra workouts in their own time, doing extra workouts at the end of a workout, at some point there's got to be a focus on rest, recovery. Hey, relax, slow down a little bit. Um, and so the way we're operating, again, I still use the things I learned at Tiger Style. One more is a part of our culture here at Tarleton. I want these guys to do what I ask of them and then go find additional training. But our culture is more so focused on the guys that are intrinsically motivated. And so our training is just enough to get them ready and motivated and in shape and ready for competition. But I leave room to go get that extra training for the guys that really want it. Um, and again, it's a little unique to us because we're an NCAA team right now. Not every kid on my program is Division I ready. Um, but for the guys that are, there is time for them to get the extra work, put in time on their own. And I think there's a lot of merit to that anyways. It's money in the bank. It's confidence that they get for doing the extra work, and finding that balance. It's something I learned from Tiger Style and also learned from Rob, to be honest.
Can you share a little bit more about Tiger Style and what all that entails? You know, we've heard about it a lot over the years,
Yeah,
but we've never talked to anyone who's actually been a part of it and done it. What
man, it's
can you let us
amazing.
behind the curtain?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll just start with this. Like I'm 4.5 years removed now, and I still find myself thinking, "Oh, that's not Tiger Style. I'm not going to do that." Or, "Oh, that's Tiger Style. I'm going to do that." For example, not taking the elevator. I take the stairs. Drives my fiance nuts. Uh, but that was so ingrained in our culture of Tiger Styles. You always take the stairs. And on that sense of buying into this identity, team identity that we all recognized and wanted to be a part of, I I can't speak more highly of Coach Smith for creating that type of culture. That is really difficult to do. Um, and the key pillars of Tiger Style is doing your best at anything you do, being a good teammate, being a good person, doing one more. Even when you feel like you're tired, you get that extra little bit of work in, get a little bit better. That gives you that slight edge that some teams may not have. Um, and man, it is such an identity and way of life that I'd say anybody that you ever speak to that has been through it is still so proud of it, still a part of it, still thinks about it, still lives it, to be honest. And I think Tiger style and lifestyle are synonymous.
Love it. I'm a physical education teacher and a cross
Mm.
country coach down here in South Carolina, and I see the one more over your shoulder there, and I
Yeah.
saw it with the interview with Nick, and I was already looking at how to get vinyl stickers for the weight room in the gym and start talking about that with the cross country kids. So um, I love it. I'm gonna
It's
adopt
such a
that.
great pillar. And yeah, you can see I didn't even realize that in my background. You could see
Yeah.
the one more back there.
Yep.
Um, because it is, you finish a workout and then you do that little bit of extra. It's obviously you get a little bit better at whatever it is you're doing the one more on, but it's also confidence.
Hmm.
I'm putting in extra work that's not asked of me, not required of me, but I'm choosing to do it. Which I think builds the confidence, it builds your passion. Yeah, it's my favorite pillar of Tiger Style for sure.
I love it. So you're living in Tampa, not
Hmm.
involved with wrestling. Coach Cole call you? Did you call him? How did you make your way out to
Oh
Palo
no.
Alto?
So I was about 3 months into that job. Love Tampa, by the way. Amazing area. I had just started helping out with Tampa Jesuit, which at the time the Crooks brothers were there. One's at Harvard now, one's at Virginia Tech. Started working with those guys and realized like, man, I miss this really bad. I want to get back into wrestling full time. Right around that same time is when Shane Griffith had his Cinderella run and won the national title. You have the whole Stanford storyline going on. They bring back the program. They announce Rob Cole as the head coach. And Rob had recruited me in high school. And I'll be honest, that was my number one choice prior to taking my visits. I thought so highly of the Cornell program. I'd watched Kyle Dake win his fourth title. Um, honestly, it was where I wanted to be, but I did not like Coach Cole as a recruit. I think part of it was I was young. Part of it was the small town Missouri boy that did not mesh well with the New York guy. Um, Part of it, I just did not understand him at the time. And that being said, we kept a pretty good relationship. I wrestled his son in college when we dueled Cornell, and him and Brian are so close that naturally we were just always around Cornell as a program. So stayed relatively close with Coach Cole. And when I saw he took that job, I shot him a DM on Twitter. Hang on, I got to read you this because it's pretty funny. Basically, just asking for an opportunity. Hey, whatever I could do, I'd love to come be a part of this. And then this was his answer. Grant, I like your spunk, but you're simply not qualified for the job. I've got a friend in the equipment room who might have an opening for someone with such limited resources like yourself. Could be a great start.
Oh man, one of a kind.
Which totally fair. Uh, again, I didn't quite understand Rob at this point and was like, dang, I get it, but that stinks. I don't know if I could leave my job for that. A couple days later, I get a phone call from him, and he's like, "Hey, I'd love to have you out. I don't have space on my coaching staff, but I'll bring you out as an RTC athlete, and I'll get you a internship in the Bay Area." And I was like, done. To be a part of this Save Stanford Wrestling thing, to get to work under you a little bit, to get back on the mat, to get experience out in Palo Alto, done deal. So I put my 2 weeks in the next day, and my boss, praise God, said, "Don't worry about it. Uh, you weren't cut out for this anyways." And I was like, okay. So didn't even have to wait the 2 weeks. I packed up and drove the 44 hours to San Francisco.
I love it.
This all happened within probably 4 days. Um, so yeah.
How'd you get out of your lease?
I didn't. I paid out the
Oh,
rest
you
just to
bit the
go.
bullet, huh?
I did. I bit the bullet.
Wow.
Which was okay. I had only signed a 6 month lease, so it wasn't too
Okay.
bad.
All right.
Um, but I initially got out there as just an RTC athlete. And then 2 months of being there, I don't want to go into too much detail, but somebody was not able to take the volunteer assistant role for some outside reasons. And I was just right place, right time. And that was when I got my first shot at college coaching.
So Coach Cole gets a job at UNC. They bring in a whole new staff. They don't keep you. What is your do you get in contact with Tarleton right away? What was the timeline on that?
So, oh man, I don't know if I should say this part, but
No one's listening.
when Rob left, I decided I wanted to stay. I loved what we were doing. We had recruited the number two, three, and four ranked recruiting classes back to back to back. And at that point, Stanford had never even had a top 10 recruiting class. So we were building this super team that Stanford wrestling had never seen. Oh my goodness. Hang on. I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh no.
I'll unmute so you could hear it. This is ridiculous, and I am so sorry.
Rich, you hear it on your
I don't
end?
even hear it.
Oh, you guys can't hear this beeping?
No.
No.
Oh, well, then I'll just keep talking and ignore it then.
Are you good? Like
I'm good.
all right. All
Yeah, we
right,
don't
I
hear
yeah.
can't
it at
believe you
all.
can't hear it though.
No.
No. And we've had people with dead firearms on the podcast before.
That's crazy. I'll be honest, I totally forgot where I was at with this. Oh, Rob decided to leave. I decided to stay. Yeah, Ayers came in, and before I even really got to meet him, told me he was bringing his own guys, which I totally this isn't interrupting. You guys can't hear that?
Not at all.
Fantastic. Okay. So I totally get it from Ayers' standpoint. Him and I didn't have a prior relationship. I didn't know him from Adam. But man, it hurt. I was sad. And to rewind a little bit, a couple months prior, Jim Junta had approached me about a potential opportunity to start a D1 program in Texas. They weren't sure where it was going to be at this point. And I'll be honest, I didn't feel ready for a Division I head coaching job. I was going into my third year of coaching and just wasn't confident that I was the right guy for that role. And again, I loved what was going on at Stanford. So I declined initially up front. And then when Ayers let me go, and I realized we were in late August at this point, realized I might not have a lot of other opportunities. Called Jim back, was like, hey, about that job, I think I want to do it. And thank God. And it's funny how it all works because, like I said, I didn't feel quite ready for it at the time. I was pretty new to coaching college, and this was a big task. It was to raise $2 million, build a team from the ground up. We didn't have a wrestling room. We didn't have a team to start with. We had no alumni. And so initially turned it down, and because of the circumstances got pushed into this role. And I talked to Rob and said, hey, what do you think? And you know, when he gives advice, I tend to listen pretty hard. And he said, man, I think this is a really great opportunity. You obviously don't have the name that's going to get you these other opportunities in the coaching world. Um, this could this could be your big break.
Coach, did you real
I'm sorry. You really can't hear
No,
it
we
at
don't
all?
hear anything. You're good. I mean, it might be distracting you, but we don't hear it. Like Jimmy said, we had a guest on previously.
I'm gonna record it so you could hear it after the fact because this is crazy, but I'll keep rolling.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you know, it is a huge, huge undertaking to start a program. And, you know, obviously with the experience too, that I know that there's a pressure to that, to taking on to a new program. And one of those big things you talked about is fundraising. I heard a rumor that you're actually going to ride a bull for fundraising. Is that true?
Where'd you hear that? Where'd you hear that? That's crazy.
We had Jimmy Overheiser on last week. And
Okay,
so
that
we
makes
were
sense.
we at the end of the podcast, we tell everyone who's coming up as guests, and he had mentioned that you guys were friends and that we should ask you about the fundraiser.
Such good friends. We in each other's weddings. He was actually my assistant coach when we initially started this venture, which was another reason I decided to do it. I believed in Jimmy so much and thought definitely together we could figure it out. But I'm working on that. I'm working on that. Tarleton is the best college rodeo team in the country. They've won. I don't want to butcher this, but I believe 13 rodeo national titles collegiately. They have some of the most pro riders in the professional rodeo scene. And I think it just makes sense to do a bull riding fundraiser, to hop on a bull for some money, whether it's pledging how long I can stay on the bull. I'm still figuring out the details, but that is absolutely something in the works and that I want to do and plan on doing.
Okay.
That's so
Well,
fun.
you say it's a good idea, but as we talk on here and you're talking about some of your injuries, I don't necessarily know if getting on a bull and trying to ride it for 8 seconds is a good idea, but
We'll support you.
yeah,
I, for sure.
maybe a
But
dunk tank.
another one of our pillars to our program is whatever it takes.
Hmm.
And so I'm gonna live it, whatever it takes. If it takes getting on a bull, I'm gonna get on a bull.
All right. Do you own a cowboy hat at this point?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
I owned a few cowboy hats before I came down here. I'm
Yeah, I
from
guess from
super,
Missouri, so yeah.
yeah, super small town
True,
cowboy
true.
country in Missouri.
Okay.
Well, Rich, great call back on that one because that totally slipped my memory. But you're talking about the fundraising, and you got to live out a fantasy and a dream of mine. You did 10 minutes of stand up, and you opened up for Greg Warren. How was that? Do you look back on that fondly? Are we going to see you on Kill Tony anytime soon?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. Man, that was so cool. That was kind of our introduction to Texas as a program, as a staff. It was our kickoff fundraiser when we first got down here and announced things going on. Thankfully, I had known Greg Warren through Mizzou wrestling. He was All-American for us and pitched him the idea. I knew when we got down here to do something that had never been done, we were going to have to do things that nobody had done before. And I thought this comedy fundraiser was a great opportunity. Asked him if he would be willing to come down and do a comedy show in front of wrestling fans and Texans alike. And he was on board immediately. He had spent time in Houston working for P&G,
Hmm.
which is part of his comedy skit now, the Jif peanut butter stuff. And had a tie to Texas wrestling, had a tie to me through Mizzou wrestling, and wanted to give back. And man, he came down and did that for free, which was so cool. And I tried to pay him, I tried to take care of him, and he just he wouldn't let us. Part of our fundraiser was if we sold X amount of tickets in X amount of days, I would get up and open the show for him. Sure enough, we hit that marker. And so I had to get up and do 10 minutes of stand-up comedy for Greg Warren. And I had never done comedy before. I didn't know much of comedy, but got up there and did it. And honestly, it was so much fun. It was one of the most fun nights I've ever had, to be honest with you.
Did you write your own material?
I did. I did.
Okay. All right.
I spent about 2 months watching other comedians and realized that a lot of it was telling their own stories, just finding a way to make it really funny and that other people could connect with those stories. And then most of it was just self-deprecation. I'm short. I'm 5'5". My brothers are 6 foot. I leaned into a lot of that. And yeah, I had so much fun with it.
That's awesome. It's funny
We
because
sold out our theater. We had over 212 tickets sold. Yeah, it was a really cool event.
I the last comedy show I went to down here in South Carolina, I saw Greg Warren.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Coach
awesome.
is
He's so great.
yeah, he's hilarious. His podcast is great too. He talks about different brands. So I'm curious, is the theater, is that something you've picked up since you've been living in Texas, or is that a Missouri thing too?
Oh, that's Missouri. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I still get looks for that one. Yeah.
We had a kid in middle school who moved to New Jersey from Texas, and he would always say theater. And being in a small town in New Jersey, you're not used to hearing people from Texas talk. So, but now I embrace the Southern twang a little bit.
Sorry, I'm moving. That thing is driving me nuts. I apologize.
Oh, you're good.
I wish you guys could hear it. It is deafening.
There's a little bit of feedback when you talk, but nothing that sounds like a
Yeah,
fire
nothing like an
alarm.
alarm.
Oh my goodness. And it's still going. It's crazy.
Are you good? I don't want your focus to be
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
So, Coach, you get this opportunity, take over the first Division I program in Texas. You get there, you have a lot of eyeballs on the program. You could do an awesome open house. Flow Wrestling's there, and they're showing the facilities and amazing facilities. And now you guys are wrestling in the NCWA. Was there anything when you started taking this program on that you're like, man, I'm in over my head here?
Oh, big time. Big time. And I don't know if I should admit that. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It literally stopped the second I moved. Go figure. So I'm gonna go back to my desk. But um
It looks like you're just walking around the wrestling room, so you're good.
I wish I would be there typically, but because these snowstorms we got going on, everything is shut down.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I watched Rob do his thing when it came to fundraising and being a little overzealous was like, man, I could go do that. Texas has been untapped. There's a lot of wrestlers and wrestling community in that state. I can make it happen. And then you take on the job and you realize there's no alumni support. There's no team at that time to build around and get people excited for. At the time, we didn't have a wrestling room, and was like, oh my gosh, what am I fundraising for? I'm fundraising for this dream that people have no idea about, that I really believe in, my foundation behind me believes in, but man, I gotta find a way to convey this to something that people want to invest in and be a part of. Uh, and that took some time to figure out, I'll be honest. I multiple times felt very much over my head, in over my head, and was nervous if I'd be able to make this thing happen, without a doubt.
What's the timeline looking like for you guys now, getting into Division I? How much more time are you guys going to be full time in the NCWA?
So I got to be careful speaking on this, because I never want to overpromise. I want to underpromise, overdeliver. Um, on top of the fact that until things are done, I could get in trouble for saying certain things. So I'll tell you this. A conference has accepted us, and a really exciting conference at that. Um, I gotta be careful because there's things I can't let get
No,
out
you're good. We don't.
publicly quite
Yeah.
yet. Um, I'll tell you this. I'm very hopeful we'll have a major announcement in the next couple months.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Um, I wish I could say more and be more specific.
We'll get you
I
back
don't.
on to break the story.
Yeah, there you go. I don't want to say something that'll hinder what we're doing.
Well, last year the women won, men were third at the NCWA tournament.
Yep.
How has the season been going this year for you?
It's going good. Unfortunately, I lost two of my NCWA champs from last year. Um, for some outside stuff that I won't get into. Love those kids to death, but won't have them back this year. It was my 41 pounder and my 235 pounder. Um, that being said, last year we were such a young team. 90% of my kids were freshmen. I had a few sophomores and two juniors. So we were very, very young. Um, they have matured so much between last season and this season. And they've been thrown to the fire this year. We had a tri-duel with Duke, SIUE, and OU, where we won matches in every single one of those duels, and we're very competitive. And in those duels. We put up 9 points against OU, put up 24 against Duke, and put up 6 against SIUE. Um, I had our first placer at the Soldier Salute this year with Finn Shepard at 165, finishing seventh. He then followed that up with a fifth place finish at the Cyclone Open, beating 5 Division I opponents on the way to that. Um, we're looking good. We've matured a lot. I've matured a lot, and I think we're really starting to find our groove. We're currently ranked third in NCWA again, but that's because we got some weapons that they don't know about. So,
Okay. Um, Coach, from a recruiting perspective, when I think of what you're doing, I think, we go way back to the Jackson Memorial High School days with Coach Goodell. Jimmy was wrestling and competing against some of his athletes, and we always talk about how much Scotty Winston really did for the program, taking a chance to go with Coach Goodell to Rutgers. Is that a selling point when you're recruiting to kids? Like, hey, you have an opportunity to be a part of something special here, being the first team to do this when we do, even in the NCWA, but when we do make that jump to the NCAA, you have a part of being something special, being the first to do something.
oh, big time, big
Yeah.
time, especially after seeing what Little Rock had done.
Hmm.
Their first All-American in 5 years. They had national qualifiers, I believe, in 3 years. Um, and the notoriety and excitement that that program had built so quickly. I steal from that without a doubt. And B, yeah, absolutely. Wrestlers are so intrinsically motivated for the most part, especially at the Division I level, and want to be trailblazers and appealing to that side of them of, hey, you can not only be the first Division I All-American for a program, but for the entire state of Texas. First Division I national champ for a program, but for the entire state of Texas. And for the school. We're in our second year of Division I athletics as a school. And so not only are they going to get their name on the wall for us and be a staple that we build around the same way that they did with Ben Askren at Mizzou, which I absolutely use that as well. Uh, but for the entire university, absolutely. And to be honest with you, it's what drew me to Duke out of high school. They had never had a national champ, and I felt I could go there and be that guy for them. Um, and so, yeah, definitely, we lean into that from a recruiting standpoint in a big way. But I will tell you, as an NCWA program that hasn't been legitimized as a D1 team NCAA program yet, what's bit us in the butt a little bit is recruiting a little bit above our pay grade. Um, I've got several ranked wrestlers on visits, multiple time state champs on visits, and guys that could make a huge difference for us to come to campus, to see our facility, to see everything that Tarleton has to offer. Um, but man, not quite being there yet has held us back, and it's hurt us a little bit on an NCWA standpoint, where we could have probably been recruiting guys that could compete really well at that level, score us points at the national tournament at that level. Um, we shot a little bit above our pay grade, but the ultimate goal is, I'll be honest with you, do what Little Rock did, but faster. I want to beat them in every aspect that there is. I want to have more national qualifiers faster. I want to have, oh my goodness, All Americans faster than they were able to have All Americans. Um, and so we're recruiting as such, but it definitely has stung us a little bit.
Yeah. Coach, we had Mike Moyer on a while ago and, talking about the
He's amazing.
NWCA and their goal to get a Division I program in every state. You guys have now are working on accomplishing that in Texas. Now that you've been in Texas for a few years, what does it mean to the state of Texas to have a Division I, soon to be Division I program in the state?
I think it means a ton. You think about it, they haven't had one thus far. And when they do finally have one, our kids are going to graduate from our program and most likely give back to Texas wrestling in some capacity, whether they go back home, whether they take jobs in the area. But in some capacity, our wrestlers are going to give back and they're going to bring the Division I experience and coaching and talent back to the state that they haven't had the opportunity to have so far. And there has been amazing coaches down here, don't get me wrong, but when you have a Division I program that these kids can come watch growing up as youth wrestlers and high school wrestlers, grow up watching these guys compete, come to duels, go to their camp, and experience that level of wrestling in their home state, I think it makes a world of difference. I'm speaking from personal experience from growing up watching the Mizzou Tigers. I grew up in their golden era when Ben Askren won his national title in '07, followed by Mark Ellis and Max Askren and Drake Howdeshell, Jaden Cox, and all these guys. Texas hasn't had that yet they've had some absolute superstars. You think of Bo Nickel and um, oh my goodness, of course, Jack Mueller and
Brandon Slay.
Brandon Slay. Oh, that's a huge one. Brandon Slay. Wasn't Tervel? Was Tervel a Texas guy?
I'd have to fact check that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he may have been. Kamara Usman was Texas
Yeah.
boy. Um, Man, and there's so many I'm missing. But I think when they have a Division I program, that trickle down effect is going to raise the competition level of the state. We're the second highest wrestling population in the country, only behind California. And yes, Texas is a massive state, but we haven't even remotely tapped into the long-term opportunities here. I think we have 800 high school programs here, and there's over 2,400 public high schools in Texas. And so we're not even halfway of the amount of high school programs we could have in state. And I think a Division I program would help with that in a big way.
Coach, I'm sure when you do media, everyone's talking, when you go in Division I,
Oh,
NCAA first program.
media,
But
recruiting, fundraising, it is the question. Yeah.
yeah, but we're on this call tonight because Jim Genta told me, hey, you need to talk to Grant, and they got good things going down at Tarleton. Can you just talk about the importance of the NCWA and how
Oh, big
important that
time.
is for wrestling?
Yeah, big time. And I'll be honest with you, prior to taking this role, I was not familiar with it. Didn't pay attention to it, didn't really know about it. Um, and man, what a dingus. Because it is an amazing organization. The fact that their entire existence is based on creating wrestling opportunities for kids that may not have had it otherwise, for kids that wanted to pursue a specific degree or a specific university that didn't offer wrestling. That's amazing. It's amazing. The more people we could get staying involved in the sport, the more fans we get involved in the sport is good overall. And I think the NCWA is such a great catalyst for that. And now you think about the roster caps that we have. Most programs are going to have these 30-man roster caps, us included. We opted into revenue sharing. I'm going to have a 30-man roster cap. I'm absolutely going to keep my NCWA program. It's an opportunity for kids to continue to come in, support the program, train alongside the team, have parents that get involved, but then also it's almost like the new walk-on opportunity, I would say. Because now with 30 roster cap, you're not taking walk-ons. But what you can do is put them on your NCWA roster and see what they can do throughout their career and maybe eventually earn a spot on the team And that's one, two, three aspects of why it's so great. But again, they have 214 programs across the country. They had 64-man brackets at the national tournament. We had over 4,500 fans at the NCAA Nationals in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is not a wrestling state. And it is so cool. And being so close with Jim and getting to work with Jim, man, it's really amazing what he's done. And I hope at some point we get to the point that I could speak to these other coaches about the value of an NCAA program, about finding a way to get another coach into their program and creating an NCAA team alongside their Division I team. And we continue to grow it. And the last point I would make is it's our greatest safety net with all the uncertainty in the NCAA. If things crumble with the NCAA and wrestling has to fend for itself, we have an organization ready to take that on. We have an organization ready to prop wrestling up and still be a governing body for college wrestling. And man, to me, that alone is enough to buy into what the NCWA is doing and find a way to start a program at every college program across the country.
Coach, I think you nailed it on the head there. And I think as wrestling fans, people need to focus more on it, right? If it doesn't have NCAA, people really, what is that, right? But it's giving kids opportunities. We see programs like Life and the NAIA, they send the team, and I think what you guys are going to do too is sending a team and having those kids, hey, we can fill these guys into our program if something happens or a spot opens up, and they can still wrestle at a 4-year college level. So I think as wrestling fans, we need to get behind it more. I don't think people give it enough credit.
Yeah, and I think it's more so lack of information understanding. I think the more college coaches we could get speaking out about it. And again, it's going to take these D1 coaches, I believe. That's who guys are listening to. That's who guys are looking up to. I think when they really get behind it, we could see even more growth in the NCWA. And man, it's such a cool organization that gives kids of all levels opportunities. We saw 8 or 9 former Division I wrestlers at the championships last year. But I also had kids in my lineup that were into their 3rd year of wrestling. And so it's so great for that. And again, the insurance policy that if NCAA continues on this scary trend that may dissolve, not trying to be fearful by any means, but that's a conversation going on. Buying into the NCWA, I think, is our best insurance policy by far.
I imagine with the 64-man bracket, that tournament is no joke.
No, and it's so fun. And they structure it just like the NCAA tournament. It's a 3-day tournament. For the finals, you have a run out with smoke and fire. You're wrestling on a stage in front of 5,000, 4,000, 5,000 fans. Um, they do the blood round just like NCAA. They do such a great job. You get a full season of wrestling, and then you get a conference championship, national duels, and then a national championship. And man, I can't say enough good things about it. My only knock on is they're being a little silly with some of the rules, but
From a wrestling perspective or within the
from a coaching perspective,
coaching perspective. Okay.
yeah, they won't let club teams wrestle in the Club Cup duels for USA Wrestling, which to me goes against their entire um what's the word? Mission statement. We were going to send our girls to that, and because of the compliance committee in the NCWA, they barred any NCWA teams from participating. I don't agree with that stuff. if your mission statement is creating opportunities and growing the sport, you should encourage people to go compete at things like that, not punish them for wanting to do so. Um, and I'm going to voice that gripe because I don't agree with it. Uh, but honestly, outside of that, that's the one complaint I have about the NCWA.
What are the Club Cup duels?
It's USA Wrestling's putting on these women duels for uh, freestyle clubs, but also college programs across the country. It's a national duels, and the NCWA said that we're not allowed to compete in it, which is pretty silly if you ask me. Um, I'm one opinion, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thanks for filling us in because I didn't know what the Club Cup duels were, so we appreciate the knowledge. Coach, can you fill us in on the college a little bit? I know,
Yeah, Tarleton.
yeah, I know that you guys have some good tuition fees and ways to get kids in-state tuition. So can you fill our audience in on that?
Big time. And I'll be honest, that was part of why I ultimately was like, oh yeah, let's do this. Um, the campus is beautiful. It's got it's so unique in the sense that we're gonna break 19,000 students next year, which is not a small school. But the campus still gives kind of a small school vibe. I say that they're continually growing. We built a brand new basketball, volleyball, and eventually wrestling arena. We've renovated our football stadium 3 times in the last 5 years. They built a parking garage with the Buffalo Wild Wings since I've been here. They're building multiple new dorms because we outgrew the dorms. We ran out of dorm space these past 2 years since I've been here. Campus is ever growing, but it has a small town vibe while still being a pretty big Division I university. Um, our in-state tuition is anywhere from 7,500 to 10,000 a year, depending on your degree program and the credits you're in. And you can get in-state tuition as an out-of-state student with a 3.0 GPA, 1080 plus on your SAT, or top 25% of your graduating class. You don't have to have all three. You could have one of those three and still get an in-state tuition waiver. Obviously, the more you have, the more you guarantee that. But it's been a big factor of why we've been able to recruit so well. I've got some Division I transfers. I've got some Division I level recruits that had scholarship elsewhere, and it was still cheaper to come wrestle with us without any athletic scholarship than it was elsewhere with athletic scholarship. Um, we're in Stephenville, Texas. The population of the town is 18,000, and so the college is the town. We're an hour and some change from Fort Worth. We're an hour 45 from Dallas. We're a little over 2 hours from Austin, 3.5 hours from Houston. We're very centrally located in Texas. It is easy to get to any of the major cities near us. We're far enough outside the city. We're kind of in ranch, country town, but it's so easy to go get into the major cities if need be. It's
What
a
are some of
really special place.
what are some of the majors that Tarleton is known for?
We have 83. So there's a ton of degree programs, but our biggest ones are education, nursing, engineering, and ag. Um, we provide over 70% of high school educators in the state of Texas. We've got an 84% graduate straight into a job rate, which is the highest in Texas, um, which is pretty cool. Our engineering department's amazing. I know the dean pretty well. He took me on my campus visit when I first came down. He takes kids to Houston and interns them with NASA during the summer. We just built a trading hall for stocks and finance in our business school that has the live tickers. It looks just like Wall Street, which is pretty cool. Um, Man, it's growing like crazy. We're part of the Texas A&M system. And so Texas A&M and their endowment is also contributing to the massive amount of growth that we're seeing. I believe we're the fourth fastest growing state school in the country right now.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It's I we couldn't be doing this at a better time, to be honest. Um, it's cool how things have lined up.
They have master's programs too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Plenty of masters between medicine, ag, engineering, business. There's plenty of masters opportunities.
And for the guys and gals on the team, are they kind of funneling into a specific major, or is it across the board a little bit of everything?
I've got a lot of nursing students. I've got a lot of business students. And then I'd say education is our next most common. So
Okay.
I've got a few that have you know, gone off to do some engineering things and but I'd say those are the main ones.
Okay. And from a roster perspective, are the majority of the athletes Texans?
Oh yeah, big
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I'd say at least 80% are Texas kids. Um, which is really cool. And I've said that from the beginning that I want to build this with the foundation of Texas kids.
Yeah.
It's a highly under-recruited state. When I was at Stanford, I did not look at Texas in the slightest. You know, I was focusing on the Pennsylvanias, New Jerseys, Ohio's, and things like that. Texas was not on my radar, and it is not on most coaches' radar. And we've been able to sneak some serious talent out of Texas that other programs just missed. Hey, you know, my kid that placed at Soldier Salute, Finn Shepard, is a Texas boy, never won a Texas state title, was not heavily recruited, and now he's consistently beating Division I starters at these tournaments and opens we're going to. So I want to continue to lean into that. I want to get these Texas kids, keep them home, and have them be primarily the foundation of this program for sure.
And Coach, in New Jersey, it's a small state, but it's, very densely populated, but there's definitely some regional pride within the state. There's a great debate if Central Jersey even exists within, Texas being so spread out and being so vast. Is there some regional pride amongst the kids on the team versus, maybe DFW versus East or West
Honestly,
Texas?
not really. I don't think Texas is quite good enough to have that yet. We're still worried about catching up with the other states that there's not a ton of regional beef. Um, but we have kids that are 13 hours apart and still live in Texas.
Wow.
Um, I'll be honest, the majority of talent is in the DFW area. But Austin, especially with Jason Wolf being there,
Hmm.
is getting more competitive. Houston has College Park and son of a gun, I'm not going to remember the name of the other team that's really building down there, but um, Mike Lahome is their coach. He was Division I wrestler. They're building some great things down in Houston. Amarillo is your hard-nosed kids that live up in the oil fields. Not a lot around them except wrestling and fighting. They've got Canyon Randall, which has been a really tough team. They placed top 20 at Doc B with two kids.
Wow.
Um, and then you got El Paso, which again is just some hard-nosed, tough kids. So we've got kids from all over the state, and there is different pockets of talent, but DFW is majority of, you have Allen, Texas,
Yeah.
Rockwall, where Andy Rovat has his club, Arlington Martin, which beat Allen and knocked them off for their 14th straight state title. Yeah, it's all in this DFW Metroplex.
Okay. You know, being from Jersey, we also take pride in the fact that we only have one state champion, but we
I
know that
love that.
we know that there's a lot of states that don't, and some states even have as many as 6 or 7 classes. How many classes are there in Texas? Two.
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 Okay,
You
awesome.
got small school, big school. So 5A, 6A. 6A is the big schools. It used to be a single state champ. I think within the last 8 years, they moved to two divisions, but that's another cool thing is it is as big of a wrestling population as we have. There is only two state champs per weight, so not quite California level, New Jersey level. But it is still a pretty tough state tournament. Absolutely.
Where they
You
have the
mentioned
states in Texas. Sorry, Rich.
It's typically in Houston at the Barry Center. Really nice venue. Um, yeah, it's a cool spot for sure.
you mentioned I think it was 800 out of 2,500 schools that have wrestling in Texas. Is there growth at the high school level happening too?
Yeah, if you give me a second, I could actually pull those numbers up for you. I have it in one of my presentations. So we are seeing, can I share my screen?
It's gonna. I don't. Let me see.
I sent you a request.
All right, I just allowed it.
Here we go. So if you could see here the participation of men and women in Texas since 2018 has been on a very steady climb. And then we had a massive uptick between 23 and 24. Let me see. Oh, here we go.
That's a lot of high schools.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And look, oh, I'm sorry. I was telling you the girls and guys combined,
Combined.
we only have 400 and, oh, sorry, wait, 404 programs in Texas right now out of 2,800 public schools. And we're
Wow.
still the second biggest population of wrestling in the state. So there is big time opportunity. Uh, there you go. Here's the actual numbers. 16,000 men, 6,000 women, 6,500 women. Um, oh, that's where I was getting that number from. 783 total wrestling programs between men and women. So there is a ton of opportunity for growth in the state, which again, I think with our program eventually finding Division I status, that we could see that number
Jump.
skyrocket.
Yeah.
Grant, is there anything about Tarleton that we haven't covered that you want our audience to know?
Mm, I mean, I may have alluded to some of this. I think I said we're brand new to Division I. We were a Division II school until 2020. We started the transition to Division I athletics. Then we had a 4-year probation. 2024 was our first year as a Division I athletic department. Since then, our football team has made the semifinals of the FCS college football playoffs. Um, being a part, I did talk about this, but being a part of the Texas A&M endowment, we have seen massive growth in the school and investment into the campus and university as a whole. Again, with building this brand new arena, which if you guys haven't seen, it is beautiful. And I'm hoping eventually we can host a conference tournament there. Um, the renovations to the football field, new health professions building, parking garage with the B-dubs, all the dorms. Um, it is an extremely clean campus. The kids and the culture on campus are so proud of being at Tarleton that they take care of it. There's even a rule that you don't walk on the grass. You follow the sidewalks. There's this secret society group called the Purple Poo that if you step on the grass, you're getting tackled. And so they know to not step on the grass. You're picking up your trash. It is extremely clean. Um, and outside of this week being a crazy winter storm, which in Missouri, this is a typical winter, but in Texas, it's a winter storm. we very rarely see anything below 50 degrees down here. Temperature's great. Our location's great. We're in nice rolling hills and trees, and then the campus is tucked away in this valley. Um, and it's a really, really cool place. Uh, I don't know if I should share that. For my single wrestlers out there, we have a 60% female population.
You should definitely share that. I remember back in the day when Flo would do the campus tours, they went to Kent State, and it was something like that because it was like a teacher college, and it had like a 60 to 65% female population. So yeah, it's good for the single wrestlers to know.
That's Tarleton. Oh, I remember watching Rob get in trouble for comments about the student population. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I want to be careful.
I was gonna say too, those kids getting tackled on the grass for getting tackled for walking on the grass. That sounds very
Sounds
dazed
like
and
our child.
confused.
I was gonna say it sounds like our childhood,
Well, it
Rich.
definitely sounds like our childhood. Our dad was a landscaper. He owned his own landscaping business for 30
Oh,
years, and our front lawn looked like a fairway of a golf course. So
Christine, yeah.
if we were out playing catch when he came home from work, we scattered like roaches and ran.
That's great.
Final four, Rich.
Let's do it.
Grant, are you a coffee drinker?
Oh, big time, but not hot coffee. I get the foo-foo iced. Yeah.
All right. Well, what's your foo-foo iced?
Typically it depends. If I'm getting Starbucks, it's the shaken brown espresso, brown sugar espresso drink. Um, but typically we make it at home. We have a little cold brew machine. Yeah, I'm big on the iced coffees.
Grant, do you have any daily practices or rituals you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Grant Leeth?
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah, my journaling, and it was part of what kept me competitive in wrestling, but you write down 5 things you're grateful for, 5 things you want to improve on, um, and then your goals for the day. That's my ritual.
Okay. Have you gotten yourself a Ben Askren journal?
Ooh, I don't know if I know about this one.
Yeah, him and Joe DeCenza, the guy from Spartan.
Oh, Joe
They
DeSena. Yeah.
Joe DeCenza, yeah. They have they put out a journal for wrestlers, like a
No kidding. I had not seen
optimization
that one.
journal.
I'll look
Yeah.
into that. I did not know about that. Huge Ben Askren fan, obviously, so
Yeah.
I'll check that out. And Joe fan, to be fair. We actually recruited his son to Stanford.
Okay. Very
Yep,
cool.
Jack DeSena.
Where did he
Yep.
end up going?
Stanford.
Oh, he's at Stanford. Okay, cool.
Yep. I was there with him for like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's the Cornell connection.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Coach, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
Uh, Mainly music and Chance Pena. He's an artist out of East Texas, Tyler, Texas specifically. Um, my wrestlers don't really like it. It's like folky slash country slash alternative type music.
Okay.
Have you ever
Who's
heard of Hank 3?
Heard of what?
Hank 3.
Uh-uh.
Check him out.
Hank 3?
Yeah,
no?
well,
It's
he said folky, punky,
Hank three is
country.
not. It's not that,
I'll
but
check him out.
Check him out. It's my favorite country, but it's not really. It's different.
it's
Heck,
outlaw country.
oh, beautiful.
Being down in Texas, you get down with Charlie Crockett.
I don't know who that is
Oh,
either.
okay.
Check him
Check
out.
him out. I would check him out before I would send you to Hank 3, but that's just
Oh
Okay.
no
man,
shots at you, Jim.
yeah, that is a shot at me.
Okay. I got it noted down.
Coach, who's controlling the aux cord in the room?
Typically Zach Spallman. He was my 41 pounder that won last year, and now he made Mexico's world team last year. He's about to go compete to try to make Mexico's world team this year. He's usually on ops. He's our most senior wrestler right now.
What's pumping through the speakers?
Yeah, it depends on the day. Sometimes we go heavy into the country. Sometimes it's more slow alternative. And then sometimes they put on the rap stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of, but
Yeah,
it's always clean.
right on. It's got to be clean.
Got to be clean.
Coach, last one we got for you to close out. It's a lighthearted one. Maybe it's a unique food item. You're down there in Texas, so maybe it's barbecue. You are from Missouri. Maybe it's Kansas City barbecue. Maybe it's a tasty beverage. We know a lot of wrestling coaches love their golf time. Maybe you're outdoorsman, maybe you're a fisherman. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Pokemon.
I was gonna say I saw it when you took your screen off before.
Yeah, that's why I blur it. Yeah, I've been collecting Pokemon for a long time. Honestly, I use it recruiting. I talk to the kids about it because it's had a huge resurgence lately. My guilty pleasures for sure, Pokemon. Yeah, collecting the
So
cards, going to shows.
so I
Yeah.
heard you when you were talking to Nick, you said you funded some trips to Fargo selling shoes. Do you
hmm
have any Logan Paul type Pokemon cards that are worth something?
I got a few, not near like
Yeah.
that, but I got some that are in the $1,000 range for sure. Yeah, not the 4 million Logan Paul. Yeah, yeah, not quite. Shoes are the other one for sure. I love collecting shoes. That started my own shoe company because of it. Um, yeah, I'd say those two.
What kind of shoes you collecting?
Dunks, Jordans, Yeezys. I've started to sell off on those though, just because now that I have my own shoe brand, I feel like that's all I need. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, literally, that was how I would fundraise for Fargo. I'd go to Goodwill, Savers, and any thrift shop, Ben's, find shoes, and then turn around and flip them on eBay and make money that way. So,
Do you have a prized wrestling shoe?
yeah, the Brute Uglies. You remember
Okay.
those? The John Smith ones that
Yep.
are gray, red, and yellow. They're
Those ones with the
horrible.
Velcro?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
horribly ugly, but such a good shoe. Such a good shoe. The Velcro, you could tighten them just how you wanted them at every aspect of your foot. They were kind of like a sock as you'd slip them on. That is such a great shoe.
Okay. All right. I had a pair. I'm gonna be 50 in a week, so I had the old school Brutes, not the red, white, and blue ones, but the black and purple ones that he wore
Oh
for a bit.
yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Those were John Smith's too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Heck yeah. Those new
We're-
freaks are cool. You guys see those, the purple ones?
Mm-mm.
They're based on the old air reversals.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes. I was telling Jimmy about those the other day because one of my teammates, my senior year, he had a pair of the air reversals.
nice. Yep. I actually have those in my room over there. They're
Okay.
perfect for Tarleton. They're my camp
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah. Nice.
Grant, thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you for joining the Airey Bros, educating us on Tarleton, everything you guys got going on. And when you get
I
some good
appreciate it.
news, give us a call. We'll have you back on again. But best of luck at the
Absolutely.
national tournament this year. We look forward to seeing the success of the program.
I'm hoping I gotta call you before the Nationals.
All right.
That's my game plan.
Well, we're hoping too.
I'm leaving here to go to our Tarleton rodeo night at Dickies Arena. Um, hopefully gonna get some good news there. So
Yeah, keep us posted on the fundraiser as well too. We'll be supporting that for you.
absolutely.
Grant, it was awesome meeting you. It was great talking with you, learning more about Tarleton State. We do appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck with the remainder of the season, and we'll be rooting for you at Nationals.
Likewise, thank you all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Grant Leeth from Tarleton State Wrestling. Make sure you go check them out on the socials. Give them a little love. Let them know the Airey Bros sent you. We're going to be back in the NCWA tomorrow night. We're going to be talking to Chris Williamson out of Liberty University.